Psalms chapter 100, verse 2, it says, "Worship the Lord with gladness and come before him with joyful songs." Now, I want to point out two specific words that I see here in this text. Number one is gladness, and the second one is joyful. You know, when we come before God, don't come before God with an attitude or looking like you've been baptized in lemon juice or pickle juice or whatever you want to call it. But when we come before God in worship, we should come before God with gladness. We should come before God joyfully, knowing that he is the maker of heaven and earth, that he goes before us and he removes every opposition that will stand in our way. Psalm says, worship him with gladness and come before him with joyful songs, and know that the Lord is God. You know, in its simplicity, worship is really acknowledging God. It's acknowledging who he is and what he has done in our lives. So with that said, let me ask you a question. How often are you acknowledging God in your life? Do you acknowledge him every day? Or do you only acknowledge him when you need something in your life? And if the latter is your case, I want to encourage you, beginning right now, learn how to acknowledge God every day. I would especially learn how to acknowledge him even in those times when I don't need anything from him, because when you learn how to acknowledge him and be thankful for what you already have, I believe it makes it easier for God to provide for you when you are in need of something. You see, I'm a firm believer that being thankful and acknowledging God will compel him to do more for you. I know certain people that when they enter a room, everyone stops what they are doing and they put their focus and attention on that specific individual. And honestly, when people of significance enter a room or we come into the presence of someone with significance, we should honor and respect them. In the military, when a sergeant, a lieutenant, or a colonel walks into a room, respect and honor is immediately given by those soldiers that rank lower than him. When high-ranking officials come into a room, respect and honor is just given. When presidents and prime ministers enter a room, respect and honor is given. I've been in the presence of great men of God, and respect and honor is given because of their service to the kingdom of God. Now, let me just say this. We never worship the man, but we do acknowledge when people of significance are present. So with that said, if we can acknowledge man, how much more should we acknowledge God, who is the creator of all things? And when we worship, that's exactly what we are doing. We are acknowledging God. Worship is acknowledging who he is and that he is in the room. If I were to walk into a room and get ignored, I would keep to myself. But if I were to walk into a room and get acknowledged, you know what would happen? You would gain my attention. And in the same way, when you acknowledge God, what you are doing is you are capturing and gaining his attention. When you worship God, you are acknowledging that he is in the room. And when God is in the room, let me encourage you with this. Things just don't stay the same. When God is in the room, miracles begin to happen. When God is in the room, strongholds are broken and demons have to flee. When God is in the room, the atmosphere begins to change. Depression goes, fear goes, anxiety goes. When God is in the room, there is peace, power, joy, and victory. So with that understanding of what comes along with his presence, let me encourage you with this final thought. Do you need a miracle in your life? Do you need God to intervene in your life? Do you need a breakthrough? If so, then capture the attention of God. How? By your thankfulness and by your worship. And as you acknowledge him, he will take notice and he will show up. So listen, my friend, if you need God to show up and you need God to step into your situation, here are two keys that the Lord has given us out of his word that will compel him to move on our behalf. And that is acknowledging who he is and worshiping him for who he is. And when you begin to acknowledge and worship him, my friend, I'm here to tell you, God will show up, God will move on your behalf, and all of hell is in trouble in Jesus' mighty name.